Hey guys, very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to the video number 491. My name is Ajay Pamar, and in this video we are going to work on the requirement which was sent out by one of my subscribers, Deepak. And in this we are going to work on a project, and in this project guys we are going to use the loops. And this is a perfect example of how you can basically mix up the two loops together. So it is not just the one loop. I'm going to talk about here two loops, and the beauty of this video is that you're going to learn how to actually use the loop in the loops. So we are also going to learn that how to create the sub loops in the loops, right? And of course we will have the if discussion in this, and this is going to be the video number 491, as you can see. And if you're watching the channel for the first time, two very important updates for you. This is the channel name, youtube.com/C/Ajay Kumar Parmar. You can share this channel videos with all those people who want to be an expert in Excel VBA, Access and Access VBA. And recently I started the series on HTML as well. And HTML basically it's a language which we use for, it's not actually the programming language, right? So basically HTML is used to create the web designing. Every web page which you see, right, every web page, it has the HTML behind it, right? So guys, the next video 492, you're going to see that in the Indian language, which is Hindi. So this is just for your information. Now let's go and talk about this. And before I go further, I just want to read out that the email which I received from Deepak. So, hi Ajay, they are the customers names with blanks. Point to be noted, customers are repeating because customers has more than one blank. Our project is to transpose the blank name in respect of customers and then delete the repeated customers. Can you please look into this? So basically he had forwarded me this file, but I just actually trimmed that file, and this is what we are supposed to do here. Well, you can create some blank here. There are some the bank names here guys, and we have the the customer ID, and as you can see here, each of these customer IDs are repeating. For example, if you talk about this customer ID, this is repeating, and if I talk about this, the next customer ID, this is coming 4 times, right? So what we are actually supposed to do here is that we basically want that for these all the customer IDs which are repeating, their bank names should come in a in the form of transpose, or I can say that in one cell, in one row, right? So these are the customer IDs which are not repeating, so they should show us as as they are the regular bank names, right? There's no customization which is required. So this customer ID should show me SBI, this customer ID should show me HDFC, and this customer ID actually should show me KHL Limited, MBNA, and then JMT. And so we don't have to repeat them, right? So this is the output which we need here, and I have already written here the ID and the status, right? Now I just quickly run the macro which I have already written here, and I show you, and then I'll explain you the macro. So let me just click here. First of all, let's go and see the output. Alright, so there we go. So the macro run, and guys, this is what the output is all about. You can see here, what is this ID? This is showing me KHL Limited, MBNA, and JMD. You can see there is a space also which is created. Now this is the first one, this is the MBNA, this is the JMD, right, which is coming. You can also use the comma, that's okay, right, because KHL Limited is a one word, so you can, you can use the comma as well. Let's go to the next ID. The next ID is 148 and 14 ID. As you can see here, we have the 4 banks, and all the 4 banks are going to be written here in the single cell. And look at this also guys, there is no repetition in the ID. Now this is something which I'm going to do in this, I'm going to explain you in this video, right? Now if I just go and let's say I just change everything, for example, now you see that every customer ID is different. They are all unique, so we should have the same bank names pasted there. So if I just run the macro here again and I go to the sheet 2, you see that you have all the bank names coming separately, exactly the way that the main database is, isn't it, right? And if I just go and let's say I just go and copy this, when you want to copy this, and let's say I just copy everything, so that means there has to be just one row which should give us the customer ID with all the bank names in single cell, right? Isn't it exciting, guys? I think it's a fabulous example for us. This is going to be the advanced, actually, the the VBA, because we're going to combine the two loops together. Let me run this quickly, and there we go to the sheet 2, and look at this, guys. Fantastic. I just have here one ID with all those the banks separated with the space. This is super cool, right? So this is what we are going to do today. Now what I'm supposed to do here is, now I can also create the, I mean, if you want, you can create the blank cells here as well. That's okay. The code will run. Now what is the idea? Now as usual, I'm gonna walk you through a couple of steps which we're going to work here. I'm gonna explain you, right? And before I go further, I just want to quickly tell you that if you want to follow this channel seriously, and if you really want to learn Excel VBA, Access and Access VBA, these are all the guys, the playlist in front of you. You can just go through all these playlists in this series, because today also in the morning I got the comment from one of my new subscriber that if she wants to learn Excel VBA or Excel, then how to start, how to begin with. So these are all the sequence, and this is for the web designing. You can see now these two videos also uploaded. I have uploaded these videos in last 2 days, and you can also learn the HTML side by side. This is very interesting. In the HTML we can use a lot of Excel VBA, right? Excel VBA, I mean, we can use HTML there, right? And we can definitely make our websites quite the connectivity part quite dynamic. We can export those website data in our Excel, which is I mean, it's a quite actually the requirement which keeps coming to all those developers, right, where they need to do some research or do some sort of analysis on the any website data. So there, we should know the HTML. So that's why I started this series. So guys, this is all about the playlist, and definitely you can go to my channel as well. Let me show you. These are all the playlists, 47 playlists we have created. We have enough tons of the codes here, and I am trying my best to upload all the videos with the good amount of explanation. So you can scroll it down and you can see all these are the different, all those playlists which I have just shared with you, right? So let's come back to the topic. Now what we have done here is, I'll show you the code. This is the code basically. Let me just close this file first of all. Alright, now guys, you see that I have there is a column which I have hidden here, and this is actually the column which we need, and this is doing the magic, right? So what we are basically doing is, now the first thing which you are supposed to do in this case is that this customer ID should be sorted in the ascending order, right? You can sort in any order, descending order, ascending order, but you must sort this. When I received this file from my subscriber, the data wasn't sorted there, so you have to ensure that you should sort the data according to the customer ID, so that we all have the customer IDs like this. Now the next thing which I want to do is, what I have done is, if you look at this formula carefully, this is equals to B2, right? Now in this formula I simply said that I want the bank name here, because this is the first item, so we don't want to put any formula here. But then the very next time, guys, in the next formula, what I have done is, understand this function. What it says that if this is going to be equals to this, if A3 is going to be equals to A2, that means there is a repetition. That means there is the same customer ID which is coming, and that means we would like to capture this bank name as well as the upper bank name, the bank name which is above this MBNA, right? Because they are same. So that's why what we have done, we said that if A3 equals to A2, then simply concatenate C2 with the B3, and I have written here the comma, the space. You can also write the comma here, just in case, as I was talking about, in case if you have some spaces between some bank names, the comma would help you, right? So in case if they are equal, we would like to concatenate, we would like to join the previous bank with this name, and just in case if they are not equal, then we would like to capture B3, which is what, which is the corresponding bank name of this customer ID. So what happens if I just press enter, you see that I get here the KHL Limited comma MBNA. These are the two banks. Now the moment I change this to something, for example I change this to, let's say, this one, you see that it's picking the MBNA. Why? Because this is not equals to this. So obviously I don't need the previous bank with this the bank with the bank of this customer ID. So that's why it says that it's going in the false condition. because A3 and A2 are not equal. So this is not equals to this. So I'm going to capture this MBNA, right? Now the same formula, guys, I have just dragged it, right? So what happens if I just go and let's say right here, let's say 3, you see that the entire syntax is changing, right? So if I just go copy and just paste this here, look at this, guys. So if you look at this 8611, it is repeating how many times? It's repeating 3 times. So obviously we're getting all the things, KST, MBNA and JMD, right? Let me just drag the formula because I put the comma here. Now this is how it looks like. Now for this 8613 customer ID, you don't have any repetition, so that's why it's picking only the current bank, which is GMAC RFC, right? And then for the another one 8614, it's picking, you know, first it's picking obviously Royal Bank of Scotland, because of the reason that when you press F2 you can see the formula, this is not equals to this, obviously, right? So we got this, but the next time this becomes equals to this. Now if this becomes equals to this, then this should be a part of this, isn't it? Because both are same. So we have, you know, got this. So what I have done is I simply said that if this is going to be equals to this, then I'm going to concatenate this cell with this cell. Right now, remember, guys, I'm not basically concatenating this with this. I'm concatenating this. It's actually C6, right? The upper value, because you know why? Because when you start your this formula from this beginning, what happens? We need the value here. We need the previous value here, right? For example, if you look at here, what is happening? Why I'm using this C3, why I'm using C3, why I'm not using the B3, it's the reason is very simple, because in C3 I have the previous, you know, the bank name associated with this. It's coming, basically it's concatenated with the current value. So that's why this KHL limited comma MBNA and then comma JMD, in case if both of them are equal, that becomes your the trier combination, right? So we have everything here. That's why this is the formula I'm doing, right? So if you want to see the formula, I can press equals to here. I can remove the formula from here. This is the formula, guys, right? This is the formula, this is the formula, and this is what we have just dragged it, right? So you can pause the video, you can give it a try. Let me just undo it. Now what is the next thing we want to do? Now the next thing actually we want to do is we're going to go in the VBA and we're going to say that this loop should run first of all 2 to 10 times, right? And the moment I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to be on the 11th row, the loop should come out, the code should stop. So I'll show you the in the Visual Basic. This is the code, right? This is the code which we have done, and you can see here basically we have made a bigger loop here, which is for j equals to j to 2 to 10, right? And so this is what this code is doing, j 2 to 10, and this is the next part of this next chain. So this is basically the bigger loop here, right? So we are ensuring that this loop should work from 2 to 10, right? You can make this dynamic also. You can find out the last row and it's going to give you the last row. So this loop will run first of all from 2 to 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Now before I go further and explain you, what I want to do is let me show you this. So I have created here R for the row, and J is for obviously for this J, which is just to run the loop. And then there is a very important Boolean variable which we have declared as check. This check, I'll just explain you the use of it. Now to begin with, this check is going to be false, colon R is going to be 2, because I'm on the row number 2. So you can change in case if you have a different row number. Now if I just run, so this is all about the variable declaration. Now the first thing which it is going to do, it is going to select my sheet 2. It selects the sheet 2 and it selects this A2 to B1000 range, and it makes sure that it should first be deleted, right? So that before we run the code, everything, the screen should look blank. Now we come back to the sheet 1 and we start with the A2. You can see my cursor is on the A2, right? Now guys, this loop is going to run 10 times, right? And 10 times it runs, and then finally when it is going to run 10 times, we will stop the macro. Now the 10 times it is going to run, each time when it runs, what it has to do, this is what the do while is coming into the picture. Now if you look at this carefully, what we have done, the first of all, when I run this loop, this is going to pick up my row number 2, right? So I'm on the row number 2, obviously, because R is 2. If you look at this, I declared here R is 2, so my cell is going to be on the R2, right, which is the row number 2. So I'm on the row number 2. Now here we will put the condition that you have to run this loop till the time the next value and the current value, the current value which is on the row number 2 and the next value which is on the row number 3, this r plus 1. That is why I have used till the time they are actually equal, keep running this loop. Basically we are trying to find it out that where this cursor is going to stop, where this cursor is going to say that look, the next value is not equals to the current value, and because there if we would like to go and capture the value in the C column, from the C column, right? So if you look at this carefully, when I'm going to be on the row number 4, the row number 4 is not equals to the row number 5. So immediately we are going to capture the row number 4 but from the column number C, and that the value we are going to capture and we're going to paste it in the sheet 2. This is all about this logic, guys. This is what we are basically trying to do here, right? So let me just run the code here, and now you will understand what we are talking about here. So let's just go and run this now. So so I can also put this in the watch, let me just add the watch here so that you can see the values. So this is my another watch. Right click. Oh, I'm not able to select that. Just a second, guys. Alright, right click and say add watch. Perfect. So in the watch window now you have both the values. You can see they are equal, so this loop is going to run. This is how we write the do loop, right? So it will go here and I'll make sure that this check is going to be true, because when it started this check is going to be false. So we are making sure that the check is going to be true. I'll tell you the reason of check as true, right? Now once this is done, I go to the next cell. Next cell means offset it by 1 row. Now I'm on the A3, as you can see here. Now before we go for this loop further, I want to increment the R, because now the next time the comparison should happen with the row number 3 and 3 plus 1, which is 4. So basically we are going to compare A3 with A4, right? And at the same time, guys, because your loop is also your cell is moving, make sure that you should also increment the J, because J is supposed to run 2 to 10 times, right? So we need to make sure that the J is also getting incremented here before it goes for the next J. In the next J, I know it will further get incremented because next J is going to take it to the next value, but till the time you are not on the next J, let's ensure that because the row numbers are moving, your J should also be incremented. So there we go. Now the loop is going to run again. Now you can still see that I have still the same value, obviously because I'm on the A3 and A4 both are equal. So again we're gonna have check as true, and active cell is going to now come to this line. R is going to be incremented, J is going to be incremented. Now the R is what? R is 4. That means you are on this cell. Now this cell is going to be compared with 4 plus 1, which is 5. So basically you are saying that the comparison should happen with the A4 and the A5, because the column number is, you see that it's stagnant. I'm not changing the column number, by the way. If you have, I'm not sure if you have noticed this or not, right? But comma 1 is there, right? So the column number is 1 there. So these values are not equal. So when these values are not equal, the do while loop will exit. Perfect. Now the point is, once it exit, you want to capture the value before you go and further do the same analysis again on the different cells, right? So that the check is true. Now if the check is true, that means basically we found that there is a match. We found some matches. We found that some customer IDs were repeated, right? That is why the check is true. Otherwise the check is always going to be false, because when you're starting the loop, check is false. So if the loop is going to work, if this do loop is going to work, we are making the check as true, because there are two scenarios here. If the check is not true, then what is supposed to happen? If the check is true, then what is supposed to happen, right? So right now the check is true, so I'll just go and tell you. Let's just understand this. So check is true, so obviously you will go in the then mode. I'm gonna select this sheet 2, but before I select the sheet 2, remember what I have done, guys. In the sheet 2, the range A100 cell dot end XL up offset, this is going to use the control up arrow, right? And this is going to take me to the next blank line. But what value you are supposed to capture, this is the important one. So that's why I have written sheet 1 dot cells. You can also write sheets, and then in the double quotes, in the brackets, you can write the sheet name, but this is another way. You can write sheet 1 dot. Sheet 1 means this refers to this sheet 1, and then cells R, 1 value, and then in the B column we are going to pick up the R, 3 value. That means what is your row number, guys? The row number is 4. So on the row number 4 and on the column number 1, which is this customer ID XY00866 8611, this is going to be printed in the sheet 2 in the column A, and then in the on the same row number 4 but the column number 3, which is this column number 3, row number 4, this is KHL Limited, comma MBNA, comma JMT. This is going to be printed in the B column of the sheet 2, right? So let's go now. Now this is what I'm gonna, this is, we are simply saying that from the A100, use the control up arrow and just move it by one row, right? Since this is the advanced level video, I hope that you understand this syntax, right? This is just simply to go to the next blank line. So we will have the value printed there because I'm not using dot select, I'm using dot value. So we will have the value which is the ID, as I was telling you, and here in the column B from the range B100, use the control up arrow and then move the row, one row down. We will be on the B2, and on the B2 dot value I'm going to print this value which is coming from my previous sheet 1 dot cells, right? So finally, after printing this, we go in the end if, make sure you increment the row number so that we can do the comparison with the next row. And then guys, we are going to again make sure that the check should be back to the false, because you cannot take this check always true. You have to put it back to its original position so that the next time when it runs on the different cells, we can further go and check is it true or not. So once we have printed the value, we're going to make sure that the check should be false as we had it in the beginning. So check is false. I select the sheet 1 dot select. I'm back on my sheet 1. Next J. Now next J means the J is going to be incremented, so J is now going to be 5, right? So we're gonna have on the 5th row. Anyways, that doesn't for J equals to 2 to 10, this doesn't really making the cursor moving, right? This is simply to tell that I have to run this 2 to 10 times. That's it. What actually is taking you to the next cell is this line, cells comma 1 dot select. So my R is now what? R is 5, obviously, because you incremented this R by 1. So you see that now I'm on A5. You can see here this is the cell which is selected, right? A5. Now guys, here again we will have the comparison. You can see that A5 and A6 are not equal. Cells R comma 1, cells R plus 1, right? So this is not equals to this. So what happens, this do loop will not go here, because in the very first condition it will fail and it will exit from it. Now this is where I was talking about. Now your check is not actually true because you made it false. So if you have not made it true, it's not gonna work in this condition, because for the single entries where we don't have repetition, I have used the else mode. Now guys, again it goes in the sheet 2. Before it goes in the sheet 2, I want to show you again the same concept. So what we are saying is, we are simply saying now that go in the A100 cell and then use the control up arrow and then select the blank cell and then print the value of this R1 comma dot 1, right? You can also use these two lines. This is also the same lines, this is also the same line. Here I am just first selecting the cell and I'm going there. I just wanted to give you both the examples. Here I'm not selecting the cell, I'm directly printing the value, but here you will see that the cursor is going to be selected, right? But the important part is that which value basically you are capturing here. I'm capturing the row number 5 and the column number 3, obviously, because in the 3 column number I have all my that formula built, right? So guys, on this row number, what is the row number? Obviously it's 5. So on the row number 5, the column number 3, this bank GMSC RFC is going to be printed, right? So let's go. It selects the sheet 2. Now you will see that because I'm using dot select, I'm not using dot value, so it is going to select the cell. You can see that control up arrow and then using the offset, I'm moving one row down. Now this becomes the active cell. So we are saying that active cell, you now print the value from the sheet 1 on the row number 5 and the column number 1. And you know that in our column number 1, which is column number A, we have all the IDs created there. So you will have that ID, right? Now from this active cell, I'm just saying that on the same row number, because I'm writing here 0, go to the first column, which is this column, and print what? The same value which I was talking about in the C column. So you have the bank name. Again, increment the R, again put this check as false, come back to the sheet 1. Let's go to the new cell, which is 8614. Now this is equals to this, that, right? You can see in the watch window also. So we will go and make sure check is now going to be converted from false to true. Perfect. And now we're going to move one cell down, and again I'm going to increment the row number. At the same time, make sure you should increment the J as well, so that we can track this J 2 to 10. Now guys, what is the next step? Next step, again, this is also equals to this, right? So again, this will go check true and offset, and row is going to be incremented, j is going to be incremented. Now what is the next value? The next value is again 8614. This is again equal to the next value. This is, you can see here, right, r plus 1 and r both are showing the same value. So basically this loop will keep on moving till the time we have all the values. Now once we are on this cell, the next value is not going to be selected, you know that. Now this is not equals to this value, so ultimately what will happen, you will exit from this, right? Look at this. Once the do loop finishes, again I'm putting the condition, are you true? You know that my check is true. So if check is true, because the check is true from here, right, it is not false. So if it is not false, then this is how it is going to run. Now what it is going to capture, it is going to capture the value of sheet 1 from the row number what, 9, column number 1. On the 9 row number, the column 1, you have this ID, and at the same time on the same row number, column 3, you have all these banks, you know, accumulated. They are joined, they are concatenated, right, because of this AND function. So and this if function, I beg your pardon, this if function is, it works like a wonder before you write the VBA code. This is fantastic. And remember, this if is also working because you have the data sorted here, right? That is very important. So I go to the sheet 2, and in the sheet 2 again I'm using this dot. You can also say that range A100 and XL dot offset 1, 0 dot select, and then active cell dot value equals to, you know, the format I have used here. But this is also fine. We don't have to really select this A4 to print the value. I can simply say that, you know, dot value should be equals to this ID, and we got the value and we got the bank ID, and then end if, and then again let's go to the next row, and in the next row you have the another ID which is obviously not equal. So you can see that the next row is empty, r plus 1, so obviously this loop will not work. And finally our check is actually false, right, because this is the false. The last time it ran after this end if the check, we changed it to false. Now if it is false, then we just go to the sheet 2 and we select the, you know, the cell A5. I am again repeating, you can use either of these patterns. You can use this as well, you can use this as well. It's one and the same thing, right, from the working perspective. So I go there and I print the value, and as you know, this is also going to print the column 3 value, column C value. And finally guys, what is the value in the J? The J is actually going to be 10, so the next J is going to be 11, and obviously it cannot run because of this 2 to 11. So this is how guys basically your entire code works, right? So what we did is we simply first decided how many times we need to run. This is a bigger loop, and each time it runs, each time it goes for the next cell. First of all, we are checking whether the previous value is equals to the current value or not, and if it is equal, then we are running this loop again and again, right, so that it should stop there where we don't have the previous value equals to the current value. So that point in time we will be able to capture this row number, because in this row number I have two things, the status and the customer ID, and that is what is happening in this line. These are the lines where we are saying from the sheet 1 capture the row number and the column number 1, capture the row number and the column number 3, right? So this is how the code is, and let me just put it little up. You can pause the video. This is the line you can use. I just remove some, you know, space from here. However, you must create some spaces. This is I'm simply doing so that you can paste the entire code here. You can pause the video and you can practice on it, right? So I hope you love this video guys, right? And we learned that how you can combine the for loop with the do loop, right, and how to use the sub loops and how to use the if conditions. If you want to look out for more advanced examples, we have a lot of videos. You can go to my playlist called Excel VBA loops, right, and there we have some very basic videos also, very basic, starting from the scratch. You can go, and if you don't have any information about the loops or the function, go and learn that. If you're looking for more you know, examples like this example, then the videos are already there. So I'll see you soon, and thank you so much for giving your time. Don't forget to click on the like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll promise next time I'll be back and I'll share something more exciting. Thank you so much guys for watching. Have a fantastic